Hey, my name's James Dickerson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about, can you sell a property with a short lease? What is a short lease? What you need to look for? What are the pitfalls? What are the pros and cons? And much, much more. Now, you might not ever be interested in having a property with a short lease, but this knowledge is really useful to have. So while you're here, make sure you subscribe to the channel over here and hit that bell notification. We've got new content every single day. We've got the latest property news. We've got the latest property education as well. So I share that every single day with you. And while you're here, smash the like button, tickle the like button, do something to that like button. That really helps us with the YouTube algorithm, gets us more views on the channel, and you're just a great person if you do it. So, short leases. Now, these have come into the forefront because right now there's an act going through Parliament called the Leasehold Reform Act. And that's all about extending your lease. And if that passes, that will allow you to extend your lease to 990 years, get rid of your ground rent, have better rights on your service charge, and much, much more. But right now, it's not passed. There's stumbling blocks with it. So let's just talk about your situation right now, if you want to buy a short lease or maybe you have a short lease on a property. So first off, what is considered a short lease? Well, anything less than 80 years is considered a short lease, which I find crazy because most of us will be long dead after we buy a property and have 80 years left for it to run out on the lease. But banks, they don't like it, right? And so anything less than 80 years, 79 years, for example, means that you drop into something called marriage value. So that means that if you've got a lease that you want to extend and it's 81 years left, it's going to be 4 or 5 grand to do that. If it drops below 79 years, it's going to be significantly more expensive. Now, what will happen is any increase in value from extending the lease, you will split that as the fee. So let's just say you have a 100 grand property with a short lease, but it'd be worth 150 with a long lease. Well, in that scenario, that means that the value will go up by £50,000 should you extend the lease. That means that the lease extension is calculated that it would cost you £25,000 plus legal fees in order to get that lease extended, which is very, very expensive. So, do you have the right to extend the lease? Well, yes. Act passed in Parliament in 1999 that meant anyone that's lived in their property for at least 2 years has the right to extend their lease by 90 years. So you can extend it by 90 years. Now, if the new Reform Act passes, that will go up to 990 years, which will make a massive difference to lots of people. But let's just say you extend it by 90 years. You've already got 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years on it. You'll be dead by the time it needs to extend. Again, we can guarantee that pretty much. Now, when you extend it, the ground rent is cancelled. So any ground rent you have is then cancelled. And that means that the value of the property will go up. But you want to talk about selling it. So what happens if you want to sell it? Well, if you want to sell a short lease property, then unfortunately your market is limited. You're not going to be able to get someone to just go to NatWest and get a typical buy-to-let mortgage. They're just not able to do that. So you've got to look at people who've got cash. That's going to be your best option, is to find a cash buyer. If you can get a cash buyer, then you've got that option to sell that property. Now, they're going to want a discount, and they're going to want a discount of around 30%. Is what they would roughly be looking for. Discount is what they would be looking for as a discount. So you're going to lose significant value from that because there's not such a pool of people that are going to be able to do this. Now, ideally, you might want to try and extend the lease yourself, borrow money from friends or family, or get a loan out, or maybe do a refinance in order to do that, and then sell it with a longer lease would be the ideal scenario. But your other option is to sell it at a lower price. Now, you could also get that buyer could use a mortgage. There are some specialist lenders now, particularly on the back foot that there is this Leasehold Reform Act, and leases might be in a lot better position in a few months from now. And so they could borrow using a specialist lender. Now, the problem with that is that the rates are going to be significantly higher. Let's just say today at recording this, you can get a rate of 5%. They might pay 6 or 7% for that premium. So the lender will charge more because there's an element of risk involved in lending against that property. And so that's another option, is to let people know that potentially want to buy it, that they would need to use a specialist lender in order to get that property sorted. Now, if they hold that property for 2 years, they have to hold it for 2 years, and then they can extend the lease back up themselves and they can move on to a normal lender in that time. But they can't do it before. In this market right now, they can't do it immediately. So how can you get around that? Well, what you can do is you can get them to pay for the extension with your solicitors, and you can do it on completion, right? So you can get the lease extended on completion and get a slightly higher premium, which is a way that they could pay you for doing that. That's one way to do it. So they can't extend the lease legally for 2 years, but you can while the process goes through. That might give you a better value and give you better options with buyers, and say, look, hey, look, I want to sell it. I can extend it as we're doing this, but you'll need to pay for it. And because we can do that, I want a little bit more money, because immediately the value is going to be significantly higher for them. And so that is a great option as well. Now, that 2-year extension clause, meaning they buy the property, that they've got to wait for 2 years to extend it, that could change in the Leasehold Reform Act as well. So that's one thing that they're looking at, is abolishing that and letting someone immediately extend the lease. There's no real reason to make them wait 2 years. No one's really sure why that clause is actually in there, but allowing them to extend that lease straight away as well might end up improving the value of your short lease property. So look, it's really important that you know the legislation that's going on. So keep checking this channel. We talk about the Leasehold Reform Act all the time. Check our blog as well. Speak to a leasehold solicitor. If you want to sell your property with a short lease, speak to a leasehold solicitor, see what your options are, find out the cost of extending, because when you've got that knowledge and then you go to a buyer, you're going to be better prepared to negotiate and get yourself slightly more money than that 30% discount that they're going to be looking for. Anyway, that's it on short leases. I'll do some more content on this very, very soon. Do check out the other content on my channel, including this video right here.